everyone, I am Jonasin Gilavilla, and now I am the assigned reporter to report about cognitive development of preschooler. So kapag sinasabi nating cognitive, it's all about learning, knowledge, and comprehension. So kapag sinabi naman natin cognitive development is dito natin malalaman kung paano na-develop ng isang preschooler ang kanyang learning at mga ability. Na mga preschooler na edad 3 to 2 to 4 years old and 4 to 6 years old. Abstractions. Preschoolers, symbolic and intuitive thinking. There are two substages of Piaget's pre-operational thought, the symbolic substage and intuitive substage. Symbolic substage or stage 2 to 4 years old. Preschool children show progress in their cognitive abilities by being able to draw objects that are not present by their dramatic increase in their language and make-believe play. So, in this stage, ang isa ka bata is makadraw na siya ng isa ka objects through her or his imagination. Like, amo na siya na yun, like, imagine isa ka bata, di ba, ng mga bata pa kita. Sometimes maka-drawing kita ng mga biskan uno da lamang na musod sa ato hunahuna. Pero wag kita kasabot kung uno ito siya. Another example, one of the example is in the picture. A preschooler boy saw a banana and he used it as a cell phone or as a phone through his dramatic increase of play. He was able to put a representation to the banana. A banana is ga-represent siya ng a cellphone. Because sa iya shape. So, katuon ng bata is cellphone yan. So, amadang gihimo niya ng banana as a cellphone gayud. That's how symbolic stage work. Another stage or substage is the intuitive substage. Intuitive substage 4 to 7 years old. Preschool children begin to use primitive reasoning and ask a litany of questions. So, this kind of substage is when the preschooler are able to use primitive reasoning and ask litany of questions. That's a part of cognitive development. Where the child curiosity expand. Like for example, mangutana ang isa ka bata, why is a ball round? From the given question, diba, of a child, we can observe that his curiosity is emerging to his interest of reasoning, where he is curious of ways do things look the way they are. So, amo na mag-curious sila na nga sa tuod ang bola lingin. Diba, amo na sa ilang hunang-huna na nga sa tuod yun siya. So that's how intuitive substage work. Let's go to the brain connection in the preschooler years. Because of fascinating development in neuroscience, brain development of young having of great interest to the field of early childhood. Brain research finding point as to more effective ways to care for and teach preschooler from a science lesson we had in high school or even in elementary. Remember that our brain is composed of numerous cells called neurons that connect to each other function. Cell connections are what we call synapses, sometimes also referred to synaptic connections. Language development. Young children's understanding sometimes gets ahead of their speech. As children go through early childhood, their grasp of the rules of language increases. Morphology, semantics, pragmatics, and phonology. Symbolic thinking involves language, literacy, and dramatic play. Children rapidly conclude that sounds link together to make words, and words represent ideas, people, and things. Throughout the years, children language development have become extremely complex, especially in preschool, in forming area, which are the phonology, semantics, syntax, and pragmatics. So, when we say phonology, study of speech and sound. So, one of the example is yan mo lang ang bata ng apple. So, one of the example, that's the examples of phonology. Semantic, study of word meaning and word combination. So, children acquired considerable members of words that have difficulty in finding the right word in speaking. So, example is yung mga words na ilang gina-combine. Number 3, syntax, the study of sentence constructions. Children were able to know on how to use construction of sentence in a language. Like, it's one of the example is, it is Anna's house. So when preschooler says it is an Anna's house, it's that the example of syntax. Number 4 is pragmatics, the study of conversation or social uses of language. This kind of linguistic is when preschooler was able to express feelings and convey it in an appropriate position or situation. It is using a word in appropriate situation or event. Language and social interaction. Vygotsky believed that young children use language both to communicate socially and to plan, guide, and monitor their behavior in a self-revelatory fashion called inner speech or private speech. So, language and social interaction is like, and it's really need sa isa ka bata na maila social interaction sa mga tao o sa mga bata na ila kaedad. Because it helps na para makakuha sila ng mga informations in which may apply nila sa ilang mga kaugalingon. So, according to Vygotsky gayud na ang bata gayud is need gayud makig-communicate kay kun ang isa ka bata dili makipag-communicate o makipag-social interact, amo nang dili siya mo grow or dila na an iya cognitive mo process gayud or mo grow na grabe ka wide. Another is the information processing theory, attention, and memory. The information processing model is another way of examining and understanding how children develop cognitively. This model conceptualizes children's mental processes through metaphor of a computer's processing, encoding, storing, and decoding of data. There are two types of term of memory, the short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory, written informations for up to 15 to 30 seconds, assuming there is no rehearsal, which can help keep information in a STM for a much longer period. So, sa short-term memory is an information is dali na siya mawara gayud. Because what is short, di ba? So, once na makuan na siya, musod siya sa hunahuna ng isang batos, madugay-dugay ay mawara dagad siya. Another one is the long-term memory. Involves storing information about the sequence of events during familiar situation as scripts. Scripts help children to understand, interpret, and predict will happen in the future scenario. So, ang long-term memory is yung dugay siya mawara sa isa kabat sa ila huna-huna. Like, may mga birthday, di ba? Ang birthday, pag once na birthdayhan sila, dugay siya mawara sa huna-huna na bata. It's because nahitabo o gabi ka memorable. So, dugay gid siya mawara. The young child's theory of mind. Theory of mind refers to individual thoughts about how mental process work. So, sa theory of mind, it looks like it's help na ang isa ka bata become aware that the mind exists. They refer to needs, emotion, and mental states when preschool child says, I forgot my dad. So, kibalan, isa ka bata nga di is maiyan na huna-huna na makalimtun. Like, for example, maisya, oh, I forgot my dal. I want my ice cream. So, nga din na theory is sibaw ng isa ka bata kung uno ng mga things na aniyakan. Like, maiyan na kibaligid buot. Na di na siya laong na kalimtunon pa or maiyan na gad buot na biskan kalimtan niya, madumduman na gihapon niya. So, this is receptive language. So, standard word, child is able to understand both verbal and non-verbal forms of communication. So, sa receptive language, ang isa ka bata dapat makasabot ng verbal o non-verbal. So, mula ang kita na verbal is a word, and non-verbal is a signs of communication. So, dapat ang isa ka bata makasabot na nanyaon. Another is the pre-reading and pre-matching. Standard 1. The child is able to match identical objects, color, shapes, and symbol. So, like for example, sa ako nga di ba? Ang isa ka bata, dapat hibaw na siya mag-connect. Like for example, an A. An A is para sa apple. So, hibaw na dapat siya mo-connect kung hain nito siya pasinggod o hain ito na A is stand for ono na object or ono na fruit. So, hibaw na dapat siya mag-match. Pre-reading and pre-math, copying letters and number. The child is able to recite the alphabet and numbers in sequence. So, sa inina kuan stage, ang isa ka bata is dapat hibaw na mo recite ng alphabetical, which is A to Z, and numbers na 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. Another stage is domain cognitive development, attention and activity level. The children is able to sustain attention and modulate this activity at age expected level. So, dapat, ang isa ka bata nga is, hibaw na siya kung ano iya gusto, like kung magpa-activity kita, dapat ang iya attention, yaon na nga to, like, ay gusto ko in siya na activity, dapat ako ulit niya tadungon. So, that's how, that's the stage is work. Another stage is higher ordered mental abilities or concept formation. The child develop basic concepts pertaining to object constancy, space, time, quantity, seriation, etc. Use this as a basis for understanding how materials are categorized in his or environment. So, amo da ng inina part is hibaw na siya kung unong niya ang siya environment like space, shapes, dapat hibaw niya ang siya kung uno ng mga form niya ang sa iya paligid. Higher order mental abilities, the child is able to understand the cause and effect relationship. Another stage is the child is a memory episodic memory. So the child is to recall people he has met, events, place he has been to. So ang isa ka bata nga is dapat hibaw na siya na kung sino itong iya tao na naka-interact. Dapat madumduman niya niya kung sino iya mga tao na iya kilala. Like, di ba, ang mga preschoolers, dali-dagad sila makakila. Another stage is memory. Memory of concept-based knowledge, semantic memory. The child is able to store verbal information in short and long-term memory. Higher ordered mental abilities, logical reasoning. The child is able to follow the logical events, why this happened, draw accurate conclusion. Higher ordered mental planning and organization. The child is able to plan and organize simple familiar activity. Pero, this stage, ang isa ka bata is dapat hibaw na ma-organize, pero dapat i-agapon guidance ng ila mama. Higher order mental abilities. The child is able to generate new ideas or concept or new association between existing ideas or concept. So, in the na stage is, ang isa ka bata is hibaw na mag-create ng biskan uno yan. Grabe ka creative dapat na siya. Dapat hibaw na siya mag-design or ono dakan. Higher order mental abilities, cognitive flexibility. The child is able to shift to more adaptive cognitive processing strategies in order to effectively deal with new unexpected condition in his environment, including problem situation. Well, those are the stages of preschooler. Another stage is the role of caregivers, parents, and teachers in the cognitive development. Learning about how preschoolers think and learn, one will realize that parents and teachers can do a lot either to help preschoolers develop in their cognitive skill or impede them. For 3 years old, dapat ang isa ka bata is istorya hong gayod. Usay ask question, bahala magamayda. Para ang isa ka bata is ma-process ang ilang cognitive development. So, for 4 years old, read aloud, catch day, and encourage children to look books in their own. So, dapat i-guide siya ng parents na pabasahon ang isa ka bata kay para dili siya maglisod pagkuan. That's a role of parents and teachers. For 5 years old, add drama to your reading sessions each day by using different voices for different characters. So, while reading a familiar story, dapat ang isa ka teacher or mama puminti magbasa ng mga story sa isa ka bata para ang isa ka bata is makuha na niya cognitive development, ma-develop ka na niya cognitive or niya knowledge about na niya. Amo sabi ang role nato as a teacher na tabangan ng isa ka bata na makasabot or para makadugang ng information in which para pagdako nila, di na sila maglisod. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you for listening, everyone.